Hello everyone and welcome to this new tutorial on my channel. And in this video I'll be showing you how to make this little Harry Potter bookmark with a golden snitch. And I just loved designing this bookmark because I really love Harry Potter. So I hope you'll like the bookmark as well. As you can see, I've made bookmarks with different colors and these are the colors of the houses. So this is just a little idea of what you could do. I'll include a link in the description to a house sorting test so that you can see which house you're in. And then you can make one according to Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, or a neutral one if you don't want to do that, or you could make all of them, of course. I hope you will like the video. If you like it, don't forget to give the thumbs up. This would really help me a lot. And let's get started. You'll need yellow and white for the golden snitch and a color for the string. Also, the yarn I'm using is a combination of 60% cotton with 40% acrylic. You'll need a crochet hook. I'm using a 3mm hook, scissors, a darning needle and some stuffing. We're going to start off by making the golden snitch, and first we're going to make this yellow ball shape. So for that, grab your yellow yarn and we're going to start off by making a magic circle. If you're not entirely sure how to do this, I've got a separate video on my channel explaining step by step how I'm always doing it, and I will link that down below in the description. Alright, so for the first round we're going to do 5 single crochet into the magic circle. So for that, go into the magic circle, pick up a loop, okay, yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. That's our first single crochet. Now we're going to make a total of 5. So this is 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, once you got 5 single crochet, we can close the magic circle. Like that. Also, I'm not using a stitch marker for this project because I feel like this project is really small, so I prefer to just count, and otherwise I think a stitch marker would be in the way. But if you would be using a stitch marker, you can put it in the last stitch that we did right here. And now the first round is finished. Now for the second round, we're going to do increases in all of the stitches that we got around. So we'll be doing a total of 5 increases. And because of that, we're going to go up from a stitch count of 5 to a stitch count of 10. So let's do that. Find your first stitch. If you are not sure which one is your first stitch, something I always like to do is to count backwards. So this is just a little trick you could use. This is the last stitch that we did right here, this little V. This one is the second one. This is 3, 4, and this one right up here is 5. So this is the first stitch we should be going into. Like that. Then we're just going to do a single crochet. Now, because we're going to be doing an increase, we're going to go back into the same space and do another single crochet in there. All right, that's our first increase. We're going to do that 4 more times. So do a single crochet, go back into the same space, and do another one. Alright, so now I've done a total of 5 increases, and now your stitch count should be 10, and the second round is finished. Now for round 3 and 4, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in all of these stitches that we got around. So we'll be doing a total of 20 single crochet, 10 for each round. Or if you're using a stitch marker, you should be moving your stitch marker twice. So let's do that, and I will see you at the end of round 4. Alright, so I've done 20 single crochet, and by that I've finished round 4, and now your work should look something like this. Now something I like to do is to hide this yarn end from the magic circle into our work so that it won't be in the way anymore. Like that. Now for round 5 we're going to be doing 4 decreases, and because of that we're going to go down from a stitch count of 10 to a stitch count of 6. So we won't be using all of these stitches, because if we would do that we would be doing a total of 5 decreases, but that's okay, we just want to reach a total of 6 stitches around. So we'll be doing 4 decreases. Now for the decreases we're going to be doing invisible decreases. So for that we're going to grab the front loops of the stitches only. So if you see the stitches, you see a V like that, and normally you would go underneath the entire V like this. Now we're gonna go back a little bit and only use the front loop of the stitch. So for example, this is our next stitch right here. We're going to grab the front loop only like that. We keep this on our crochet hook. Now we grab the next front loop as well. Now we yarn over, pull through these 2 front loops like that. Now again yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on our hook. That's our first invisible decrease. We're going to do this 3 more times. So find your next stitch, grab the front loop, keep that on your crochet hook, grab the next front loop, yarn over, pull through these 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. Right, let's do that 2 more times. Go underneath the front loops, make a decrease. Alright, so now I've done 4 decreases and you should be having a total of 6 stitches around. Now to finish it off, we're going to do a slip stitch into the next stitch. So go in there, grab a loop and pull it through the loop on your crochet hook all at once. Then we can cut off the yarn and pull it through. Now before closing it up, we should first put some stuffing in there. So I'm going to grab some stuffing and I like to push it in with my scissors. So just hold it like this and just make it as firm as you'd like. Alright, so once you're done with the stuffing, we can close up this hole right here. And for that, what I always like to do, you can either copy me or do your own thing. But what I always like to do is, this is the stitch we did the slip stitch into. You can see that right here. This is the next stitch. This is the stitch after that stitch. I'm gonna go in here and come out right there. Then I'm going to grab the yarn end and pull it through like that. Now I'm going to do that once more. So this is the next stitch. This is the stitch after the next stitch. I'm gonna go in here, come out of there, grab the yarn end and pull it through. Okay, now you can already pull it a little bit. Now with our hook, we're gonna go into the same space as our yarn end is coming out of. We're gonna come out of a space right next to it. Okay. We're going to pull through the yarn end to create a loop. Don't pull it through entirely like this. Now we're going to pull not this yarn end, which makes the yarn shorter. We're going to pull the other string right here to tighten up the hole like that till it basically disappears. Then we're going to pull through the short yarn end through the loop like this to create a knot. Then we can hide the yarn end by going in somewhere randomly with our crochet hook. Come out of a space close to the yarn end, so for example right there. Okay, and pull it through there. then we can cut it off. And hide it into our work. And by that, the golden ball is finished. All right, so now let's make the wings. So for that, grab the white yarn. And we're going to start off by making a slip knot. And for that, we're going to first create a loop like this. Then we pull through the long yarn end through the loop. And then we tighten it by pulling the short yarn end. Make sure that this short yarn end is a little bit long because we're gonna need that for sewing it onto the ball that we just made. All right, so attach it to your crochet hook. And now we're first going to make a chain of 8. So for that, we're going to yarn over, pull through the loop on your crochet hook. That is our first chain right there. We're going to make a total of 8. So this is 2. All right, so once you got a chain of 8, we're going to start making the wing. We're going to skip the first chain, so the last chain that we made, and into the second chain from our hook, we're going to do a slip stitch. So, like that. We're going to do a slip stitch into the next chain as well. Then we're going to do a double crochet into the next chain. So for that, we're first going to yarn over, go into the next chain and pull up a loop. Now you got 3 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, like that. Then we're going to yarn over once again and pull through the last 2 loops. That's a double crochet. Now we're going to yarn over once again, go into the next chain, and we're once again going to do a double crochet. So yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops, like that. Now we're going to make a little point like that, and we're going to do that by first making a chain. Then I hope you can see it because it's a little bright, I see. So I made 1 chain. Now we're going to do a slip stitch into the 2 yarn ends underneath the chain. So right here, and do a slip stitch like that. Now we're going to do 2 double crochet once again. So 1 into the next chain and 1 into the chain after that. So yarn over and do a double crochet. Once again, yarn over and into the next chain, do a double crochet. Now into the last chain, we're going to do a slip stitch. So go in there and do a slip stitch. Now our wing is finished and we can cut off the yarn. Make sure you leave quite some end to it. All right, and pull it through. And now our first wing is finished. Now we're going to make the second wing, and the second wing is a little more complex than the first wing because we're going to do the same pattern, but we're going to do it in reverse. And also at the end, we're gonna have to do something a little extra, but I will do that together with you. So first make sure that this yarn end, before making the slip knot, is even longer than the one of the first wing. So, for example, like that. Then we're going to make a slip knot, just like we did before. All right, now insert your crochet hook. And once again, we're going to start off by making a chain of 8. Now, we're going to skip the last chain that we made, so the first chain right here. and into the second chain from our hook, we're going to do a slip stitch. Now into the next chain, we're going to do a double crochet. So yarn over, go in there, okay, pull through the first 2 loops and pull through the last 2 loops. Now into the next chain, we're once again going to make a double crochet. So yarn over, go into the next chain and do a double crochet. Now we're going to make the little pointy part, so we're going to make a chain, and into the 2 loops underneath the chain, we're going to make a slip stitch. So go underneath the 2 loops right here and do a slip stitch. All right, yarn over, go into the next chain, and we're going to do a double crochet. Yarn over, go into the next chain and do a double crochet. Now into the last 2 chains that we have left, we're going to do slip stitches. So like that. Then we're going to cut off the yarn again, make it quite long, and pull it through. All right, so now when we put it all together, this is the first wing that we made, this is the ball, and this is the second wing that we made. And we want to sew the wings like this, so that the longer side is right here and that the shorter side is right there. So as you can see, for the first wing, the yarn ends are already on the right side of our work, so that we can just sew it onto the ball like that. For the other wing, however, the yarn ends are still on the wrong side of our work. So first we're gonna want to move these yarn ends to the other side, so that we can also attach this wing like we can right there onto the ball. So let's do that first. All right, so we're gonna want to move this yarn end right here at the top to this side, and make sure that when you move it to this side, that's a little bit here at the top as well. We're gonna want to move this bottom yarn end to the other side, and we want to make sure that we come out a bit at the bottom here as well. So one right here and one right there. All right, let's do that. First, let's grab the top yarn end. And we are just going to move in between the stitches and make sure that your needle is not too visible on either side of your work when you do that. So just push it through some stitches. This can be a bit random. Just make sure that you don't really see the needle on either side of your work. All right. Come out on this side right there, a bit at the top, and we're just going to push it through. All right. As you might notice, if we pull it through like that, the wing is also going to be like squished together. We don't want that, so pull it back out once again. And make sure that you don't pull it too tightly when you do that. Also, to make sure that that doesn't happen when we sew it onto the ball, we can secure this yarn end a little bit right there. And we can do that by just grabbing a random string on this side of our work. Doesn't matter which one. Just close to the yarn end. Create a loop. Now go into the loop and create a little knot. And because of that, it's secured on this side of the wing. And when we pull it, it doesn't change the shape of the wing anymore. All right, so now the first yarn end is on the right side of our work. Now let's do that for the other yarn ends as well. So attach it to your darning needle. And once again, we're just going to move in between the stitches to the other side of our work. Okay, make sure your needle's not poking out somewhere. And we're going to make sure that this yarn end is underneath this yarn end right there. So more like that. All right, then push it through. Once again, we're going to experience the same thing. So when we pull it, the shape is gonna be squished together, and we don't want that, so pull it out. Like that. Okay. And we can secure the shape by once again grabbing a random string on our work and make a little knot there. And now both of the yarn ends are on the right side of this wing. Now the wings are ready to be sewn on onto the ball, and we're going to sew the top part of the wing right in between round 2 and 3, and we're going to sew the bottom string right in between round 3 and 4 on both sides of our work like that. So let's first grab the top string on this wing right here and attach it to your darning needle. Then we're going to count. So this is the first round that we did. This is 2 and this is 3. We're going to choose a stitch right in between round 2 and 3. So for example, this one right here. All right, go in there and come out of a stitch a little bit further away from the stitch where we went in, but it doesn't really matter which one. So for example, like that. All right, now let's grab the bottom string. We're going to move 1 row down. So we went in right here for the top one. We're going to move 1 row down, and we want to make sure that we go into a stitch which is like underneath and close to this stitch. So there is not a stitch right here underneath the stitch where we first went in. So something I like to do is to go into this stitch instead of this stitch to make sure that the wing is going a little bit more up like that. So I like to go right in here. Okay, come out of the same space as the other yarn end for now. All right, so now it's already secured. However, something I like to do to make the wing go a little bit more like this instead of like this, I like to go into a stitch in like close to the back of the wing. So for example, the stitch right here, this one. So go back in here and come out of that space right there. Then when we fold our wing backwards, there's going to be a string onto our wing right here, which is close to this yarn end right now. So I think that's right here. So I'm gonna go underneath right here. Then I'm gonna go back into this space and I'm gonna come out of the space where this yarn end is as well. Okay, then we can pull it through like that. Make sure that you like how it's positioned. And then our first wing is kind of secured. We still need to tie it together, but first let's sew on the second wing. So for the second wing, we're going to do the same thing right here. So let's attach the top part first. And we're going to look for a stitch right in between round 2 and 3, which is on the opposite side of this wing right here. So I think this is round 1, this is 2, this is 3. I think this stitch right here is on the opposite side of our work. So let's go in there. Come out of a space right to the back of our work. Okay, now let's grab the other string. Move one row down, and we're going to move one stitch a little bit more to the back to make it more upwards like this. So that's the stitch right there. All right. Let's come out of here for now. Now let's do the same thing as we did for this wing. So now it's still going like this, and to make sure it goes a bit more like that, we're gonna look for a stitch close to the back of our wing. So for example, this stitch right here. Then when we fold it backwards, there's going to be a string on the wing close to this yarn end. So we're going to go through that loop. Okay, go back into this space, come out of the same space as our other yarn end. Okay, and then we can pull it. Now we still haven't tied anything together, so you can really check whether you like the way it's all positioned, and otherwise you can still change it right now. All right, I quite like how it looks right now, so I'm going to grab these 2 strings and I'm going to make a double knot into them. Make sure you pull this very tightly. Let's make another knot. And let's cut off the yarn. Do the same thing on this side. Make a double knot. Like that. Then we can cut off these as well. Then we can hide the yarn ends by just pushing it into our work. Alright, and by that the golden snitch is finished. Now the only thing left to do is to make the string, so let's do that. I'm going to make a Gryffindor bookmark, so I'm going to make the red string. And we're going to start off by making a magic circle. Into the magic circle, we're going to make 10 single crochet. So let's do that. 1, 2, 10. So that's quite a lot. Then we can close the magic circle. And we're going to do a slip stitch into the first stitch that we did. Since there are many stitches around right here, it might be a little difficult to find the first stitch. So remember the little trick. We're going to count backwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we're going to go in here and do a slip stitch. So this is going to end up right underneath your book. Now we're going to make the chain. I always do a chain of 65. However, if you want it to be longer or shorter, you can do that as well. You can make it customized to your book, of course. So I'm going to chain 65 and I will see you once that's finished. All right, I've now chained 65, so I'm going to cut off the yarn. Make sure you leave quite some into it because we're going to need that for sewing it onto the golden snitch. So, for example, something like this. Then we can pull through the yarn. Now let's already hide this short yarn end right here. So just attach it to your darning needle. And let's go underneath some random stitches. So, for example, like that. I'm just going to push it through and then I cut off the yarn. Now let's sew it onto the golden snitch. So for that we're going to grab the other yarn end. Attach it to your darning needle. And we're going to attach it to the magic circle, so the first round of the golden snitch right here. Now something I like to do is to grab one string on one side of the magic circle. So for example, just a random string like this. Okay, go through there and pull it through entirely till the chain reaches the work like that. Now we're gonna go underneath a string from the magic circle on the other side, on the opposite side of our work. So for example, this string right here. Okay, go underneath there as well. Pull it through entirely. Now we're gonna go into the last chain that we made. So we see this chain right here. We're gonna move from one side to the other side with our needle. So we're just going to go through the last chain. So go in on one side, push it through and come out of the other side. Like that. Okay. Then push it through to create a loop. Then when you have the loop, we're going to go through the loop to create a knot. Okay, pull it very tightly, like that. Then we're going to go into a space close to the yarn end on the golden ball right here. So for example, right there. And push it through till you come out of the other side of your work. So something I like to do is just push it on the table like that and try to pull it through. And this can be a little difficult, so I struggle with this sometimes, but here we go. Just pull it through entirely. Then we can cut off the yarn. Alright, so then the Golden Snitch Harry Potter bookmark is finished. I hope you liked the way yours turned out. If you liked the video, don't forget to give the thumbs up. This would really help me a lot. And if you would like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe. And I hope I will see you in another video. So thank you for watching and see you.